What did you learn when you first heard J Dilla and his music?
Well, when I first heard J Dilla, I was on tour. I was on Lollapalooza tour in '94, and it was with the Smashing Pumpkins and I think Kurt had just passed, and Kurt passed, and then we started the tour, and I remember it was a little silent, and Beasties was out with us. We was out with them, and Funkadelic, and Porno. Is it Porno for Pyros? Is that Perry Farrell's? Yeah, and L7. It was turned out being a dope tour. So when we started on the tour, this brother with a crazy big afro came by. And it was Amp Fiddler, and he was playing keyboards for Funkadelic, and he was just like, yo, it's a pleasure meeting you, but I got this kid. I really want you there. You're gonna love him. He loves you. He looks up to you so much. I want you to meet him when we get to Detroit. And it's like, all right. We had like 12 cities to get to Detroit, and each day he would still come and say the same thing to me. Like, yo, man, Detroit's coming up, man. Like, so we finally get there, and we perform or whatever, and then he was like, yo, you ready? You want me to? I was like, yeah. So I'm on the tour bus. We just got off, whatever, and then he comes on. I remember Dilla had on some glasses, and he came on smiling. The first thing I saw was a smile. It was like, oh man. I was like, oh, what's up, man? And he gave me his tape personally. And we were doing secondary shows in certain markets with Dilla. And I started listening to it in the back. You know, I had my whole setup in the back of the bus. And we're driving off to the next city. And at night, I was listening to it, and I was like, oh, what the fuck is this shit? And it was a Slum Village demo. And I was like, damn, this shit is crushing. And then I looked around to see if anybody was around. I was like, this is ill. So then we got to the next city. We had a show with De La. So me and Plug 2, we was blowing or something. I was like, yo, come here, man. I took him to the bus and shit. And I was like, yo, listen to this shit. And he played it. You know, Dave had this tooth that was missing. And he used to always laugh. He used to cover his shit like this. So we listening to it. He's like, oh, shit. And he was the first person that I played Dilla shit for. I was like, yo, this dude is ill, right? He's like, oh, yeah. He's like, yo, he sounds like your shit, but just better. And I was like, okay, thanks. But I was like, yo, man, I gotta do something with this kid to bring him out. Like, people need to hear shit. Then slowly but surely, I started playing it for people. And, I called his house, because he had his number on there. I was like, yo, man, people got to hear your shit somehow. We got to figure something out. We got to work, man. You know what I mean? And we started to put together the Ummah. At the time, the Ummah, because I played it for D'Angelo. So the Ummah was supposed to be D'Angelo, myself, Ali, Raphael, Sadiq, and Dilla. And at the time, you know, the Track Masters was out pumping. You know, of course, you had the Bomb Squad. You had different production crews that consisted of 3 or 4 men teams. So I was thinking this could be like our version of that. You know what I mean? Like all of the Tribe Called Quest albums, like those, especially the first 3. I was always about the unit. So I never put on those on Low End Theory produced by Q-Tip or. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't about that. So I was about the tribe. So I just put produced by a Tribe Called Quest. You know what I'm saying? And that was kind of the aesthetic that I had for the Ummah, like the unit. You know what I mean?
What was it specifically that you heard that he was doing at that time on that tape that was so revolutionary to you?
I mean, it was just the way he had shit EQ, the way that it was programmed, the feeling of it was the most authentic feeling it. He was programming it, but it just felt live. The swing of it, you know, his time signature on that, the way that he had like the swing percentages on his beats and shit, like the way he just the way he had the music partitioned. He had bass where it needed to be, the kick was where it needed to be, the hi-hat was where it is, the music, he was just clean. Yeah. You know what I mean? But still had, he had an understanding of it that he could manipulate it any way that he wanted to. You know what I mean?